All right, so this one is on precedence tables. Sorry about the use of scrap paper. I'm seriously running out of spare paper at home. I've got two different examples. So I've got the precedence table here and down here. So we're going to draw two different diagrams. So the first one, we have got immediate predecessors over on the right-hand side and the activity on the left-hand side. So notice that you've got two dashes here, which means that the diagram starts with A and B. So if we have our start point here, A and B are going to be coming out of those because nothing is an immediate predecessor of A and B. Doesn't matter which one you choose to be A and B, because it'll end up the same. So A and B coming out of the start. Now, A is an immediate predecessor of C, which means that C comes out of A. So let's go this way. C. Make sure that you're writing your letters on the edge and not on the vertices. Right, B is an immediate predecessor of D and E, which means that D and E both come out of B, so they can come like out this way. Let's skip forward and have a little look at what comes next. So I have C, D, and E all joining to F. And E, notice that E appears twice here. So we're going to need a dummy. And the dummy is going to go from the end of E to the start of F, because you always go from the end of whatever the shared predecessor is to the start of the activity with extra predecessors. So it's going to go from the end of E to the start of F. So, right, let's have a look. B leads into D and E, and C, D, and E all need to come into F. So, if I draw maybe one of them coming out this way, and then, so B leads into D and E, and I need both of them to join to C. Maybe if I go up, C, E. Maybe if I make this E, and then I have a D as well, and then C, D, and E need to join together to make F, and then E comes into G. Well, E leads into G, so why don't I draw my G line up here? And then I have an F line, C, D, and E. Notice that there's no F and G on the immediate predecessor side, so that means that the diagram must end at F and G coming together. So why don't I draw these here? So F and G join together to get to the finish. And then I just need to fix up this middle bit here. So E goes into G, yes. C, D, and E. And oh, I need my dummy. My dummy needs to go from the end of E to the start of F. Okay, so why don't I change my D line? So you'll notice that there is a little bit of problem solving in making these diagrams. It's not a straightforward process. You do have to kind of think your way around it, and you'll have to rub out lines and then try again. So C, D, and E join together to make F. So if I make D come this way, and then a dummy goes from the end of E to the start of F. And that's a dummy, so I'll make it a little d. Okay, let's see if that works. Let's see if it satisfies everything in the table. So nothing comes before A and B, correct. A comes before C, yes. B comes before D, yes. B comes before E, yes. C, D, and E come before F. So C, D, and E come before F. And E comes before G. Yes. All right, that must be our diagram. So let's have a look at the next one. Right, we've got immediate predecessors here, activities on the left. We've got 3 dashes, which means that A, B, and C all come out of the starting point. So A, B, and C. Okay, C comes before D. It's up to you if you want to draw it going across or going up. We might have to draw it up, but I always like to keep enough space in the diagram. So I'm going to go across, and then if I need to, I can rub it out and make it go up. All right, A and B come before E. So B is a shared predecessor. So that means that we're going to need a dummy that goes from the end of B to the start of E. So from the end of the shared letter to the start of the activity with the extra letter. So the end of B to the start of E. So A and B lead into E. So why don't I draw E up here? And then I have a dummy that goes from the end of B. Oh, I say B and I mean to write D. A dummy. So that's a dummy. So the end of B to the start of E. Okay, so now A and B lead into E, which is what that says. And then B also leads into F. Okay. Well, maybe I'll just write my F coming out this way for now, and then I can fix it up later if I need to. And then E leads into G. Okay, let's do that. I bring it down because I want kind of everything at the end to kind of like join together to make the finishing point. Okay, D, E, and F lead into H, but there's going to be a dummy because I've got a shared E here. So it's going to go from the end of E to the start of H because it's from the end of the shared letter to the start of the activity with extra letters. So end of E to the start of H. Well, if I have maybe H coming up here to join to G to end things, I need to go from the end of E to the start of H. So I'm going to need a dummy to come down this way, but I also want my F to join to H. So why don't I change my F so that it's angled down towards H? So if I put my F line going down this way. Okay, so far D and F join to H, and I just need E to join to H as well, using the dummy that goes from the end of E to the start of H. So I can have a dummy that goes down this way. Okay, let's see if we've satisfied all of the constraints. So diagram should start with A, B, and C. Yes. C comes before D. Yes. A and B come before E. A and B. Yes. B comes before F. Correct. E comes before G. Yes, it does. And D, E, and F come before H. D, E, and F come before H. And then there's no G or H on the immediate predecessor side, so that tells us that the diagram ends at G and H. So this is our finish point here. If you have a question where you start with these diagrams and you have to draw the table, then it's a much easier process. I'll show you how to do that. So let's get those off the screen. And if you need to write the table, the precedence table, it's much easier. So what you do is you have your activity on the left, your immediate predecessor on the right, and you fill in all your letters. So that's A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then you literally just fill them in as you read it off the page. So nothing comes before A, so you put a dash. Nothing comes before B, so you put a dash. A comes before C. Line D is here and B comes before it. Line E is here and B leads into E, so B. Line F is here, so you just trace every single line that leads into F. So C leads into F, D leads into F, and E leads into F via the dummy. So C, D, and E. And then what leads into G? Just E. So not this dummy, because you know the arrow is pointing this way, so it only goes into F. It doesn't ever go backwards. So only E leads into G. So that's the easy way if you start with a diagram and you have to draw a table, because you can just read it off the graph and then put it straight into the table. But if you do it the opposite way, they say the same thing. If you have to draw the diagram, it's a little bit trickier and it requires a little bit of trial and error, having to like rub out a line and maybe reposition it. But if you just follow the processes, you should be able to get the answer in the end. Also, you look at where you start with the dashes, you look at where you end because there's no F and no G, so you know that they're going to finish at the finish point, and then you look for your dummies, and that should help. It also might help you if you write them down, like if you identify a dummy, like E to F, you would say like dummy E to F, right? And that might help you. So like you put your dummy from the end of E to the start of F. That might help as well.